What's up, everybody? Josh and Brett here, sitting down to talk about huge news coming out of WWDC from Apple. Hideo Kojima announced that Death Stranding, as well as future Kojima production games, will be coming to the Mac ecosystem. Apple also announced, in our opinion, some monumental strides forward for gaming on their platforms. We're going to get to all of that in just a second, but if you're interested in Apple, Hideo Kojima, gaming news, reactions, deep dives, and more, I'm here to tell you you are in the right place. So be sure to hit that subscribe button now to stay up to date on all of our content related to the world of gaming. And did you know that over 90% of our viewers aren't subscribed? So consider hitting that button as it really helps us out. Without further ado, let's hop into the story.
Death Stranding is coming to Mac
Yeah.
along with future Kojima games, all of them.
Yeah.
This is coming from Tech Radar. So Hideo Kojima, the creator of Death Stranding, has announced that the game's Death Stranding's director's cut will be coming to Apple Mac later this year. He also promised that Kojima Productions' future titles would also be coming to the platform. Kojima expressed his support for Mac, as well as his plans to bring future titles to Apple's platform during Apple's keynote presentation at the Worldwide Developers Conference.
Right. So, couple things, I think. One, pretty big. Apple has a small but highly curated list of games that run on their architecture, right? Both their chipset and their graphics, their GPUs. I think getting a creator like Kojima is kind of big, and I think people should pay attention to this specifically because Apple has not been competitive in the gaming market ever. Just hasn't been. Just has been the place for it. They, however, now are trying to do it. You see it with their graphics drivers that they're doing, with their chipsets that they're developing, all these things that they're working on to entice developers to switch their platform. And one of the biggest things they talked about was the streamlined nature of a new development platform that they created to port things from other architectures to the Apple architecture.
Is this like Proton for Linux,
Right.
basically?
And they called it, I forget what they called it. Wire? Something. I forget what they called it, but basically correct. Like Proton for Linux, but with Mac stuff. You get a creator like Kojima promising, now we don't know if it's going to be day and date. I doubt it, but maybe, who knows, to bring his future titles to the platform. People might want to start paying attention to Mac as a viable gaming, I think, ecosystem, because I think the things that I'm starting to see and knowing how long Apple bakes some stuff, this could be the start of something new. And I would not be surprised to see Apple really, really grow in the gaming space over the next couple of years, especially if you can take everything in your Steam library and play it. I don't know. I would urge people to pay attention to this. And I think the really cool thing with having Kojima is just knowing how creative he is with working with new hardware. And I'm
Yeah.
interested to see that. And I would not be surprised to see something in line with their, what do they call it? The Vision Plus Pro Max,
Vision Pro
whatever,
or something.
and
Yeah,
their
I
other
think
hardware.
I think Mac and Apple are just not known for being like very
Mm-mm.
pro gamer. They're not known for like having good games on their
Mm-hmm.
platform. But if they can develop something like Proton on the Steam Deck, which basically lets you play Windows games on a Linux system,
Mm-hmm.
like that's really cool. I actually did not hear about that part of it.
Yeah. It
Uh,
was announced
but
right before Kojima came out.
okay, so I'm assuming the Kojima thing is just a native port though, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's really interesting to me here is that Kojima is known for, like you said, evolving with technology, always doing something different and unique. And I think the one thing that a lot of people are forgetting is that he had a exclusivity deal with Google
Mm,
for Google Stadia,
right.
and it was going to be a video game that he was creating using their cloud technology.
Right.
And what's the one upside about cloud technology is it can run on anything.
Right.
So perhaps
Mm,
Kojima took his project that he was working on with Stadia. What was it called? Overdose?
yeah. That was the
Maybe,
key, the project phrase or whatever.
right. I mean, I know we're kind of talking about it being linked to Xbox and stuff, but anyway, I think that that's really interesting. Maybe he's developing something that can, be played via the cloud for Apple. Who
Yeah,
knows?
I don't know. I was just, and it was almost kind of, I don't know. it was good timing on their part for me because I tuned in to their WWDC right before this segment started, and I wasn't expecting to see anything. I was just like, I just want to see if there's like a new iPhone. I don't know what they're talking about, whatever. And then they brought the guy out that's developing their GPU and their chip stuff, the head of it, and he's talking about all this. And then they talked about this framework that they're creating for people to port their stuff natively and making it seamless using machine learning and other things like that. And then they brought Kojima out, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like they're leaning into a lot of this stuff, and they were talking about their GPU architecture and their new chipset and all of these things. And to me, the canary in the coal mine is Kojima himself, right? Is like we just talked about. He's tapped into tech. He's big in it. We know he's been, a Mac fan. He said it in there, an Apple fan. So I just think I wanted to mention it because I think people should notice it. I don't think you're going to see anything crazy right now, but I'd put a pin in it, and we'll see where it goes.
I would say that Death Stranding running on a Mac is pretty impressive. That's a
Yeah,
pretty big game.
it is. And oh, the other thing that they talk about too, and then we can move off this. We don't have to spend too much time. Is they have, I forget what they called it, but they have their own um upsampling uh uh machine based kind of tech that they talked about, like on proton or Linux. You have the fidelity, not fidelity, or Linux and PC. You have FSR, you have DLSS on NVIDIA products, all these like deep learning, super sampling, up-res tech. So you run at lower native resolutions and it upscales it up higher. Apple has their own version of this that they talked about and showcased with Death Stranding, and the fact that they put the development time in to create their own version of that with this new kind of porting architecture. It's very interesting. It's very interesting, and I think people should pay attention.